Welcome to WYCE's Community Closeup. This is our weekly public affairs program produced in partnership with the Grand Rapids Community Center here inside the studios of GRTV. Community Closeup brings you a diverse perspective from community leaders throughout West Michigan. And this is WYCE Station Manager Phil Tower with you on this episode of Community Closeup. So glad you could join us. I'm very pleased to welcome in this episode Salvador Lopez, President and CEO of K Connect. Just about everything we talk about, can't guarantee everything because I don't know what we're going to talk about, is at k-connect.org, k-connect.org. At its core, K Connect is all about connecting community leaders, experts, people with great resources, but it's so much more from that. First of all, Salvador, I'm so glad you're here. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
I am curious, when you meet somebody for the first time, you got to give them that quick elevator pitch about what you guys are all about. What's the simplest way to explain your mission at K Connect?
Yeah, that's possibly one of the hardest questions we've had to answer over the course of the last 13 years that K Connect's been around. Often what I say is that we're a systems change organization that connects people, organizations, and data. Looking to change the systems that impact all children and families in King County and beyond. Our goal is to make sure that every child and family has the opportunity and tools to thrive regardless of their starting point. And the way that we do that is by connecting people through facilitation, through being a convener, visualizing data. Those are some of the things that we do.
All right. So really at the core, making sure people have the resources they need. How long have you been in this position as CEO?
So I'm going on 6 years this September, so time is flying by, but I've been in this seat now for 6 years.
Have you always had a heart for nonprofit world? Is this something you wanted to do a long time ago?
It's been happening now for a while. So prior to this, I was in higher education for I think it was close to 8 years, and prior to that, I was in the nonprofit sector, working with grassroots kind of groups within the Latino community, working for language access, making sure that people have the resources that they need to be understood in healthcare and beyond. So I would say that probably close to 20 years now working in the nonprofit sector.
Great. Let's talk about K Connect in terms of how people are finding your organizations. Walk us through, I don't want to say a typical day for you, but you get word of a family that has a need. What is a typical case or situation like for you? If you can help our viewers and listeners understand that.
Right. So we tend to focus on the systems. And often what we say is it's not a single thing, it's a systems thing.
Sure.
And often when we hear or see of issues or opportunities in the community, we see a family struggling or a child struggling. And what we do is we take a cross-sector approach. For instance, often education gets a lot of pressure from a variety of people. Like, why isn't my child learning in the third grade reading level like the way that they should? Why is my child not learning math at the rate that they should, right? People think about these things a lot, but they don't really know why they're happening. And so what we often do is we bring people together across different sectors. So I'll give you one of the areas that we're currently looking at, math proficiency. We know that if a child is proficient by the age of when they're in the 8th grade and they're doing good in math, then the likelihood of them accessing college education and graduating is higher.
Wow.
Right.
Yeah.
And so we know that our math proficiency across King County has been going down, and often school administrators or leaders or teachers are seeing this, parents are seeing this, students are feeling it sometimes, but they don't know quite how to solve that. So what we do is we set the table. We convene everyone from government officials to private or public sector folks and then people with lived experience, and we say, okay, how do we solve this together? Because you can't really solve some of these systemic issues in a vacuum or in silos. And so what we do is we set the table, we facilitate the conversation, we set a common goal, and then we say, how are we going to reach that common goal together? So we're the folks that are doing that kind of work.
Yeah, and it's not about we get the credit. We all get the credit, right?
Absolutely. In fact, if you don't hear K Connect's name after a while, that's a big thing for us.
That's a good thing.
Yeah, no, we want that. We want this to be owned by the community, for the community. And if we do our job right, within the next 5 or 10 years, some of these initiatives are going to be moving along, and we'll be seeing changes in the community.
K is the first letter in K Connect. Is that Kent County?
That's Kent County. So
Okay.
we were started specifically for Kent County, though we're doing a little bit more statewide work and even national
Okay.
work now.
You're not afraid of that?
Not at all. No, we
Okay.
think that doing state and national work is going to benefit Kent County. One, it puts Kent County on the map. So we've
Yeah.
been in places like Kansas City, places like New York, out west, and we're always leading with where we're from Grand Rapids and Kent County, to make sure people know good things are happening here.
If you are Latino living and working in West Michigan, specifically Kent County, is it safe to say things are better today in 2026 than they were 20 years ago? Have we made improvements for families, for working individuals, for education as a young Latino man or a young Latino woman?
That's an excellent question. I've been working alongside Latino leaders and people within the Latino community in West Michigan now for quite some time. And one of the things that we're seeing, at least in the data, is often I kind of share this data piece because I think it's relevant to this conversation. For every dollar that the white median family makes here in Kent County specifically, for every dollar that a white family makes, a Latino family makes about 69 cents per dollar. And an African American or black family makes about 50 cents per dollar. So we see a disparity in
Yes.
terms of thriving family income. And so often what we like to say is that, yes, we've seen some improvement, specifically around the Latino community. You've seen that thriving family income has gone up over the course of, I would say, the last 10, 15 years. And we still have a ways to go to ensure that
Yes.
there's equitable outcomes.
Yeah, that is a really stark reminder that we've got a lot of room to grow, even in 2026. In terms of the county itself, though, we're a lot more diverse. We have more opportunities. And K Connect is only, as you said, 13 years old.
That's right. We've been
Yeah.
around for about 13 years.
So you're like a teenager. I mean, come on, you got a lot of growth to go here, which is exciting. At the same time, your work is though cradle to career. It's very young to making sure people have jobs and opportunities that they're excited about. That's pretty broad. Does that get overwhelming at times when you kind of step back and take a look at it?
It can, especially because we're a small team. So what we do is we follow, we visualize data from early childhood all the way to a career, right? And we know that if a child is born healthy at a healthy weight, then they're going to be better prepared to go into kindergarten. We know that if a child is doing well in kindergarten, they're going to read at a third grade proficiency level by the time they're in third grade,
Yeah.
right, or the end of third grade. And we know if a child is reading well, they're going to do better in math. And we already talked a little bit about math, but we know they're going to have a better opportunity to succeed down the road. And so we know that this is a domino effect, and then all these systems are interconnected. And if we can help hand off or facilitate conversations that allow people to work together to make sure that a child has everything that they need from before they're even born, all the way to graduating high school and college, then we know that our economy and our workforce is going to be much stronger because of it.
Right. The data doesn't lie. Looking at you, I would have never pictured you as a data nerd, but I can tell you, you're using it to your advantage to make a point, to tell a story, to connect an idea. That's really the power in the data, right?
That's right. Data and storytelling. I think the voices of lived experience are embedded within all those data points, but sometimes a lot of us can get overwhelmed by it, right? We see Excel sheets and numbers and it all looks so stark or dark. However, there's opportunities in all those numbers and stories, and seeing it for what it is, an area of opportunity is how we like to approach the work.
Salvador Lopez is with us on WYCE's Community Closeup, President and CEO of K Connect. It's K as in Kent -Connect, CONNECT.org. We are having this conversation on WYCE, also on YouTube and on GRTV. For someone who's listening to us or watching this conversation and they're living in Kent County, maybe they want to be involved, they want to support what you're doing. How can the community best support you, Salvador?
So there's a couple ways. You mentioned this a little bit earlier, but going to our website at k-connect.org, you'll be able to join our listserv and be a part of our network. We also have a couple of tools that I'm just going to drop in here. One of them is called Lived Pay, and so if you go to livedpay.org,
okay,
you'll see a framework that we've developed over the years that allow people with lived experience to join a variety of different community initiatives and get paid for it. We believe that people with lived experience are people with content expertise, and as such, they should be compensated accordingly, right? So if you've ever been a family member...
I absolutely love this idea.
That's right. And so that came out of the K-Connect network, and so we have its own site now. The framework can be accessed at livepay.org.
Did you guys trademark this?
We did, yes.
Good. It's flipping brilliant.
Yes.
I love it. Yeah. Salvador, this is fantastic. Lived Pay, Lived pay.org. Right. Because, and I don't know what a guy who's been in radio and broadcasting for 35 years, but and a lot of people would do that without pay, but that extra incentive saying, okay, yeah, I do want to give back.
And it's really for the people, like, let's say that you're a parent holding down two jobs, right? And and your income is near the lower end of the bracket. And then someone comes knocking at your door and says, hey, I could have really used your lived experience as a parent holding down two jobs. And then I'm going to pay you like a $20 gift card for joining us for 4 hours of work. Yeah. Well, that's not quite right. And so we've created this framework that says this is how much your time is worth. And if you go into these community settings where you're providing your lived experience, use this framework to figure that out. And we have the framework not just for the individuals, but for companies and organizations that can use it and put it as part of their work. You said you had another tool as well. So that's one of the tools that we're currently really trying to get out in the community. But the other tools and frameworks that we use are around consensus building. Okay. So if people are having some trouble coming together, let's say across party lines or across different types of work, we have what we call a decision-making protocol and consensus building. So we've used that at the national level, and that's probably one of K-Connect's biggest strengths is that we can get into a room that has some really dicey opinions, people that are not always getting along, and we say, well, why don't you throw the tomatoes at us and have us facilitate the conversation, and then we use a consensus building protocol to make sure that people can make a decision before they leave the room. And so that's not public, but certainly something we can share. They need that in Washington, D.C. And a lot of other places. That's what I hear. And so our hope is that we can use that type of framing everywhere we go so we can move things forward. Again, the website is k-connect.org, k-connect.org. Salvador Lopez is the executive director, president and CEO of K-Connect. Was there anything I didn't ask you about you wanted to share with our listeners and viewers before we wrap up? The biggest thing is to continue to work with each other and listen to folks that maybe think differently than you, and sit across from them in different tables and say, how do we find the middle ground for us to work together? And I think that's something that K-Connect does really well. And if you want to learn more about us, don't hesitate to reach out to me or anyone on my team. And we're happy to work with you. Yeah, I think that's so important. And make sure you guys are on social media, right? They can follow you on Facebook and on Instagram to stay in touch. Salvador Lopez, President and CEO of K-Connect, was one of the many great reasons to just love living in Kent County. Thank you for the work you're doing, you and your team, and we're going to have you back down the road to update this conversation, okay? Don't hesitate to reach out. Thank you so much. Fantastic. You've been listening to and watching WYCE's Community Closeup, our weekly public affairs program, produced right here at the Grand Rapids Community Media Center. This is WYCE's Phil Tower. Thank you so much for tuning in.